just your finger, and you can just, this would be light touch. Light touch, and then just pressure, and what you would say to the person is, I'm going to ask you to tell me if something feels light or a deep pressure to you. And this would be light, okay? And then this would be deep, okay?
Where do you apply pressure?
What you're going to do is you're going to check the whole arm. It all depends. If you want to look at like peripheral nerves, then you're going to look at specific areas. If you're looking at a stroke or a head injury, you're doing more diffuse, okay? And what you want to do is determine the area that you want to test. And then you would either stroke it, like either with this, or I think did I have you bring cotton balls?
Yes.
You can use the cotton ball and then your finger, or you can use a cotton ball and the eraser of a pen or pencil, or the end of it, or you can just use light touch with your finger and then deep pressure. And what you're doing is you're going over different areas of the extremity, and they're identifying whether it feels light or deep to them.
You would obviously have the vision.
And the vision is occluded, right? Because otherwise they're going to be able to identify. So I would ask, does it feel light?
Light.
Okay, and ideal, if you want to make sure it's not, because they have a 50-50 chance with some of these, like sharp, dull, hot, cold, light touch, deep pressure, they have a 50-50 chance of getting it right just by guessing. So to make sure, you can do 2 or 3 in the one area, and then you're going to progress to the next area. So if it's a CVA or a head injury, you're going to do diffuse. If you're looking at peripheral nerves, then you're going to look at like radial nerve and ulnar nerve and median nerve. If you're looking more centrally, like myotones, then you're going to do your, what does myotones mean? Dermatomes, what does that mean?
Specific.
So you're looking at spinal levels, 1, 2, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and where it corresponds to the portion of the skin. So you should do vision occluded, stroke, difference between light touch, which is stroking either with your finger or with like a cotton ball, and have them identify if it feels light or deep to them, okay? The same thing with the sharp dull. So what you want to do is, this one you want to be careful. If you're taking your safety pin, so now sharp and dull, you want to make sure, number one, you clean your safety pin, okay? And number two, you also want to make sure that the area that you're testing is clean, so you could have them wash their extremity. Because if you're touching somebody with a sharp point of a pin, you want to make sure their skin is clean so that you're not introducing any kind of bacteria deeper, okay? So then, can I borrow your safety?
Sure.
All right. Okay. The other thing you want to be very careful of is test the safety pin yourself, because some of them are extremely sharp and you don't want to draw blood. And you have to be careful because you have to kind of learn how, put it on your own hand and see how much pressure it takes to detect the sharp, okay? And again, vision is going to be occluded. All these tests should really be done in a quiet room, so because any kind of distracting noises might interfere with the person being able to focus on the sensation. What you're going to do is, if it's a person with a head injury or a stroke, it's going to be more global. And if it's a peripheral nerve, you're going to be doing your peripheral nerve innervations, some radial nerve or median nerve, ulnar nerve or such. And then if it's a person with a spinal cord injury, then you may be looking more, looking at the dermatome levels. So what you're going to do is the same thing. You're going to alternate. You're going to say to the person, first of all, I'm going to orient her and say, I want you to tell me if this feels sharp or dull to you. This is going to be sharp. Okay. And this is dull. All right. Now, then what you're going to do is, depending on where you want to test, make sure you do a couple of times in each area, because, again, they have a 50-50 chance of doing it just because they were able to guess. So does this feel sharp or dull?
Sharp. Sharp. Dull. Dull.
What are you using for
Sharp.
dull?
Dull.
Pointy for sharp, the rounded piece for dull. You just,
I hear John saying like sharp. I was like, was it sharp? Because I could have sworn it was dull.
you got
He
it.
said, no, because he said
Oh,
the
he said
opposite,
it.
and I thought he was talking.
So
about
you're going between the pointy, sharp piece and the dull, this portion, the head here. You're alternating, going between it. Don't do a pattern, but like if I'm looking at ulnar nerve, I'm going to be looking at this distribution. If I'm looking at median nerve, I'm looking in this distribution. If I'm looking CVA is someone with head injury, then I'm looking more globally. And you have some people, have you like talked about neglect with strokes? You have some people, it's the perception of the stimulus, it's not the sensory tracts. So there are people who have intact sensory tracts who have neglect of an extremity. I could poke them and draw blood, and they will not detect it. So you have to just be careful of how hard you're poking somebody. And like I said, CVAs and head injuries tend to be more global, okay? And then mild dermatomes, spinal cord injury, or peripheral nerve injuries, there's a very specific area of the skin you're testing. So that would be a sharp dull, and then you have light touch and deep pressure.